Okay, chapter 12. What was the mistake of the Moroccans? They were great people. They were leaders. They were the most outstanding people in their tribe. Why did they go wrong? There's two explanations. One is that they made a mistake about what their priorities had to be. They felt that their priority had to be their attachment to Hashem. And their attachment to Hashem in the Midbar was wonderful, extraordinary, because there was nothing else. If they wanted pizza, they could have it. The man would taste like pizza. But there was nothing else for them to do except learn and appreciate the closeness of Hashem and the miracles Hashem was making for them. And they thought, we're going to go into Eretz Yisrael. We're going to have to work. We're going to have to get jobs. We're going to have to work the land. We have to be farmers. We're not going to have time to learn. Not to learn the laws of the Torah, not to learn Hasidus. We're going to lose our touch with Hashem. It's not good for us to go. That was one argument that they had. What was wrong with that argument? What was wrong with it was that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem doesn't want them to be angels. He's got enough angels. He doesn't need any more. He wants people to do mitzvahs. He wants people to work the land and to take the food from the land and take off a little bit at the beginning and say, here, Hashem, thank you. Thank you. That was one argument. Another mistake that they made was that they let their intelligence, their intellect, get in the way. Aren't you supposed to use your intelligence? Yes, you certainly are. But you're supposed to use it for the right things. They were sent to reconnoiter the land, to see what it was like, to report. What was the land like? Was it rich? Was it poor? What are the people like? Are they mighty? Are they weak? What kind of cities do they live in? Open cities, walled cities? What's the fruit of the land like? So they came back and they reported on all those things. So what did they do wrong? Nothing. There was nothing wrong with what they did. So what was their mistake? The mistake was they made a conclusion. They said, we're not going to be able to do it. Who asked you what we could do and what we can't do? Hashem said we're going in. That means we can do it. It's like when you go to the doctor, a person goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh, he's very serious. He's got 3 months to live. Who asked the doctor how long he's got to live? Go to the doctor to help me get better. That's all. The doctor isn't God, that he can decide these things. I'll tell you a story. You like it when I tell stories? Yeah, the true story. I know the people. Okay. This woman, she's the wife of a very famous musician. You all know who he is. You heard of Piamenta? Piamenta. No, you never heard of him? At the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, the thousands of people dance to his music. He plays the flute. His wife, her father became ill. He went to the doctor, and the doctor said, that's it, you got 3 months to live. They were terribly upset. They were terribly upset to hear this from the doctor. They went to the Ohel to pray for her father, that he should be better. And it seemed to work, because the next day, the nurses and the doctors, they seemed to behave with greater respect towards her father. And after 10 days, he was dismissed. He was sent home with 3 months to live. On the way home, her father, his name was Jeff Levy. Jeff knew Lubavitchers. Why? Because he ran a chicken yard. People used to come to him to buy their chickens. The butchers would come, the sheikhim would come buy live chickens. And the Hasidim used to come Erev Yom Kippur to buy their chickens by him. So he knew the Lubavitchers. He was not that religious, but he knew what Lubavitch was all about. As they're driving home, he says, I had a funny dream the other night. When I first came into the hospital, that same night, which was the same night that they were at the Ohel. The previous Rebbe came to me in my dream, and he asked me, do I want to live? I said, yes, I do. I want to have grandchildren. My daughter just got married. I'm very happy. He's a nice young man. I want to see their children. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said to me in my dream, how much is it worth to you? He said, $500, which was a fair amount of money. He says, is that all? So you want to live 10 years. How much is it worth to you 10 years? So he says, okay, $1,000. He says, come on. The Rebbe said to him in his dream, you're talking about your life here. That's all it's worth to you? So he said, okay, more. And he went up. Finally, they made an agreement, $1,000 a year for 10 years. $10,000. Well, that was a sizable amount of money. And in his dream, they agreed, and he woke up, and he was very happy with himself because he felt that he made a good deal in his dream. You hear? So as they're driving home, this is 10 days later now, they're driving home, and he tells his children this dream. They said, why didn't you tell us right away? He says, I forgot. So they drove him home, and the doctors gave him 3 months, right? They wrote a letter to the Rebbe telling the Rebbe about the whole dream. And the Rebbe gave a bracha. Now remember, the Frierdiker Rebbe was long gone. He was no longer here in this physical world. This was in 1980, 81. Frierdiker Rebbe, his Stalkos was 1950. But they went to the Ohel. That was where the Frierdiker Rebbe was, at the Ohel. That's where they went to pray. And that same night he had the dream, and they agreed, and they wrote into the Rebbe about it, and the Rebbe said, the Rebbe gave a bracha. And the Rebbe also added that he should be careful about eating kosher food and putting on tefillin. So he said, okay, he agreed. And they gave right away $1,000. The children gave right away $1,000 in his honor, in his merit. Who won? Did the doctors win? He lived 3 months, and Noch 3 months, and more 3 months, and more 3 months. And every year they gave $1,000, and he put on tefillin, and he was careful about eating kosher food for 7 years. After 7 years, he started to take it for granted. He started to be not so 100% careful about the kosher food. After 7 years, the disease came back. He passed away. But you see, it's not up to doctors to make these decisions. And it wasn't up to the spies to make their decision that based on what we've seen, we cannot go into the land. The people are too mighty for us. So that was their mistake, that they mixed in their own opinions. Nobody asked their opinions. And somehow they managed to scare the whole Jewish people. They were all very frightened. And so we know what happened as a result in this week's Parsha. We read about it yesterday, that Hashem said, okay, you think it's impossible to go into the land of Israel? You don't have to go. You don't have to go. In fact, you're not going to go. I know 2 stories like that, stories on stories, yeah. A friend of mine, when I was newly married, he was called in by Rabbi Pape that he should become the first shliach to go to Arizona. He should be the head shliach of the state. And he asked me and my wife to go with him. They went down. Here, the rent for an apartment was about $130 a month. They went down there to Arizona, checked the place out, and the rent for an apartment was $500-600 a month. They didn't have any money. Nobody was taking them out. Nobody's going to pay them a salary. They were going to have to raise their own money. And they were very nervous. And they wrote to the Rebbe that they were very nervous. They didn't know how they would be able to afford going out on such a shlichus. And they figured the Rebbe would give a bracha and everything would be fine. It didn't work that way. The Rebbe told them, in that case, you don't have to go. You don't have to go. I'll give the shlichus, and he gave the shlichus to somebody else. They were devastated. That was not their intention, was not to go. But the Rebbe felt, if they don't feel confident to go, I'm not going to send them, then let them not go. If I'm sending them, that means they're going to be successful. When the Rebbe sends a shliach to do a job, he's for sure going to be successful. Took it away. So that's why I'm not in Arizona. I have another friend who was maybe 20 years older than that couple. And when he got married, he was from Russia, and his father was in jail in Russia. And his wife was an American girl, a young American girl. They made the shidduch. He was in his early 20s, 23, 24. And they made a shidduch with him with an American girl who was 17 years old. And the Rebbe told them they should go on shlichus to England. She was an American girl, you know, she wasn't brought up with this whole thing about shlichus. She was very nervous. And they had yechidus before they went, and she was expressing all her nervousness and her anxiety to the Rebbe. She told me the story. And the Rebbe looked at her and said, well, if you really don't want to go, you don't have to go. She looked at me and she said, David Shalom, I hope you never hear words like that. It was chilling. She said, no, we'll go. And they went. So that's what happened in this week's parsha. That when they were worried too much, they didn't have confidence that Hashem would done so many miracles for them. He split the sea for them. He fed them with the man. He conquered the nation of Amalek in war. And they were worried that they didn't have the strength, that they would be overpowered by the nations in the land. No one asked them if they would be successful. Hashem was taking them in. Of course they would be successful. That was their mistake. And so the lesson we learn from that is don't mix, when you have a job to do, don't mix your feelings into it. If they send you to give out candlesticks on Friday afternoon to a certain place, and it seems to you the people aren't going to want to do it, just put that aside. If that's where you're being sent, that's where that's where you're going to go. You're for sure going to be successful. We believe in divine providence. If Hashem is arranging to send you there, you're going to see miracles. My eldest son, he had the right attitude. When they chose boys to send to different yeshivas, so the boys all wanted to go to exotic places, to Italy, to France, to South America, to Venezuela, to Brazil, to Argentina, and they sent him to New Haven. Not very exotic. So I said to him, which place, where do you want to go? And he says, wherever they send me, that's where I want to go. That's the right attitude. Okay? That's my lecture on the spies. We're in chapter 12. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
Much better.
Baruch Hashem.
Thank you.
Page 181. We've learned that when the Beinoni, hello Sarah, the Beinoni, when he davens, when he says Krishma, Shmon Esra, there's no room, his heart is full of light, and there's no room for the Yetzer Hara, and he's like a tzaddik. But after davening, the lights go down, they dim, and the Yetzer Hara comes back with all its worldly desires. And he would surely succumb to them if it were not for the fact that the Yetzer Tov is there to support him along the way. And now we learn from the Zohar, the Rayim, the Parshas Pinchas, that everybody has the power to control their desires. There's nobody who can say, if Hashem didn't want me to do this, he wouldn't have made me this way. If a person, everybody has their foibles, their weaknesses. One person's weakness is that they like to eat too much. Another person's weakness is they like to talk too much. They don't like to study. Another person's weakness is they like money. They just want to earn a lot of money. They want to even get a lot of money, no matter how. Some people have weaknesses that are addicting. Some people like to light fires. They're called pyromaniacs, right? Some people like to gamble. It's an addiction. Some people like to drink alcoholic drinks or to take other substances that make them feel high. These are also addictions. If Hashem didn't want me to feel like this, he wouldn't have made me this way. Then there are sexual addictions, aberrations, people who have strange sexual attitudes. And they say, if Hashem didn't want me to be like this, he wouldn't have made me like this. Oh, Nicole, it's Hashgacha, divine providence, you're back, because you raised this issue. You raised this issue last time that you were here. And you said, what's wrong with transgendering, making yourself into a different gender and so on. So the answer is to that question.
For the non-Jews. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, for the non-Jews.
For anybody. That there's a purpose in creation. The Torah tells us Hashem tells us very, very clearly, it's the first mitzvah of the whole Torah to have children and to populate the world and to make it a civilized place. That means having families. And everybody, men and women, are given the ability, physical ability to have children. Now, if you don't feel inclined that way, so you got a problem. It's a sickness. Because a healthy person is inclined that way. A healthy woman wants to have a family. A healthy man wants to have children. Healthy couples want to have a home. These are healthy, normal, these are healthy desires, and therefore they're considered normal. And a person says, no, I have a different desire. I want to have a boyfriend. And we're going to get married, two men. We're going to get married. So that's not healthy. That's, in fact, going counter to Hashem's desire for populating the world and civilizing the world and making the world a civilized place and not a jungle. So you see, it is a serious problem. It's not up to us to choose these things. If a person has a problem that he has desires that go against against such a norm of having a family, you can't say, well, it's okay because Hashem made me that way. No, Hashem made you that way. He made somebody else with a different way with their desire is that they like to gamble, or they like to get high on substances, or they like to overeat, or they like to talk too much, or they have an excessive desire for power, or they're cruel, they're sadists, or they're the opposite, they're masochists, they like to get beaten up. I once lived in a country where there were a lot of people like that, they're masochists. And somebody told me, yeah, an aberration. Somebody told me a joke about two people that this was in place of having normal sex. That a guy came, two people went out and one came back in and the other one came and said, he beat me. That was for him the best thing because he's a masochist. It's not normal. You understand? So there are all kinds of abnormalities, but a person who has an abnormality is sick. He needs treatment. He needs help. And also there's a law, Nicole, there's a law in the Torah that applies to all people. You're not allowed to castrate a person or an animal.
Oh, really? Animals too?
Yeah.
What about like everyone I know who has like pets and they like neuter the pets?
Can't hear you.
Like people who get, I don't know, I know Chabad doesn't have dogs, but I know many people who have dogs and cats and they like neuter.
And they neuter them, right?
So that's halachically not allowed?
I don't think so.
Really? Really?
So how people get
Horses,
around it?
you're not allowed.
But you have farm.
Wait, Rabbi?
Yeah.
So what I've heard how people get around it is they sell their animal to a non-Jew and then they take care of it and then they buy the animal back.
So you're saying I'm doing
Well,
for a day and I'm like, hi. It's
well,
like you're coming. Yeah. It's funny.
Shmit the year is coming up, you're not in Shmit the year, Jews living in the land of Israel are not supposed to work the land. This is a very, very hard test. And there's a great deal to be said about it because it creates a social system that's the opposite of capitalism. You have to give the land a year of rest. You can't just go on accumulating and accumulating. It's a very profound concept. Shemitah and Yovel, it's not enough attention has been paid to it, how profound and revolutionary a system it is. And it's even a question if it was ever really practiced fully, because it only, according to the Torah, it's only when all the Jews are living in Israel do we have to do it. Now we only do it because of the rabbis. But there's a way around it, like you just said. I don't know who it is who said that on the line. Who is it? Oh, Danny. Was that you, Danny, that's made that comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they get around it. What do? They sell their land to an Arab, and then the Arab works the land for a year, and then they get it back. It's called heter mechira. But people who really want to keep the mitzvah don't do it. They don't do it because you're just skirting around Hashem's desire that he states very clearly what is his desire, that Jewish person shouldn't work the land and the land should have a rest. And we know that if you don't give the land a rest, it gets depleted of all its goodness, and then you have to replace the goodness in the land with chemicals, artificially, which isn't good for the land, and it's not good for the crops, and for the health of the people who eat it. You should look into it. But anyway, if Hashem says don't do it, so you give it to a goy and let the goy do it, and then you get it back, what did you accomplish? You didn't fulfill Hashem's desires for an ideal world. And I think Hashem knows better what an ideal world is than people who are really more concerned about their money or the tircha, the problems involved in taking care of more animals, more cats. I want to have a cat, but I don't want the cat to have a lot of children, have a lot of cats. I have a friend who took in a cat one time. They thought it was wonderful and cute, and the cat grew up. And then one day the cat disappeared for a few days. Then the cat came back, and it was ready to have a lot of little kittens. and it did have a lot of little kittens, and it was too much. It was too much. They couldn't take it. So anyway, there you go. The point that I'm making is that for a person to castrate himself in order to marry another man goes against the laws of God, given to Adam and to Noach as the basic laws. It comes under the category of sexual laws, one of the 7 basic laws, not to commit adultery. It's a subheading there. So that's an answer, a fuller answer, Nicole, to your question.
Thank you.
Because Hashem considers it normal. It says, here's another verse from the Torah. At the very beginning, when Hashem created man, hello, please listen. Hashem created man, and he says, Zachar nakeva bara Isam, v'yavarach Isam. This is when you get married, Mirza Hashem, your chassan is going to say a mimer, and at the very beginning of the mimer talks about a chassan kala getting married, and it brings in this pasuk from the beginning of the book of Bereshit, Genesis, where it says, male and female, God created them, and he blessed them. That means he blessed them when they're male and female getting married. And what did he bless them with? He blessed them with children. And this is a blessing from the beginning of the very, very first lines of the Torah. Zachar and Akeva bara Esam, male and female, he created them. V'yavarach Esam, and he blessed them. This is the paradigm of creation. This is the fundamental basis, the nucleus, the nuclear archetype of civilized society. When you had this caliphate in the Middle East a few years ago, it was threatening to take over the whole of the Middle East. So what did they do? They conquered a city, and Eventually, they were defeated, as you all know. They conquered a city. They took all the women as slaves and gave them to the soldiers. The soldiers took them home, got them pregnant, and sent them, and then sold them on the market. Didn't want them anymore. This is the exact opposite of Hashem's desire. To destroy the family, the nuclear family, the basis of society, and the basis of our Jewish life as well. So that, Nicole, is a fuller, I think, a more detailed explanation and answer to your question. Very good question, especially since today's the philosophy that people are putting forward in today's liberal society goes against the nuclear family. And there are very powerful people who want to limit family life. That family should only be allowed to have 1 or 2 children, and that's it. And they will punish you if you have more children than that. So that's why somebody who was a student of ancient times, of Greek civilization, he asked Rebbe what he thought about the Spartan way of life, and he said it was very cruel. It was shocked that the Rebbe asked, this is very cruel. He said, why? Because if a child wasn't a healthy child, they would abandon it. They only wanted strong, healthy children. Okay, so everybody, we're up to this point now, that everybody has the ability in his willpower, which is in his brain, to deal with his addictions and with his powerful desires, and to harness them and use them for good, for the benefit of society. Now, I'll just add one more word, just to be on the safe side. I'll look into this, and I'll do a little research, a little homework, and I'll check it out if castrating animals is in fact forbidden. And I'll give you we're not going to meet until next week, so I'll give you a more informed answer next week. Okay, check it out. But that's what it seems to me. So page 181 at the bottom, everyone is created from birth with the power to restrain himself from his desires. You know, I mean, this is the old caveman idea. I don't know if it's true or not, in the cartoons, the caveman takes a club, he goes out, he smashes a woman on the head, drags her home by the hair, and does with her whatever he wants, and that's the base of society. And the Rambam actually says things like that before the Torah was given, that's how people got married. They just they met and we went home together. But that's not the way we do things. Marriage is holy, and there are 3 partners in marriage. The point of marriage is children, and there are 3 partners, a husband, a wife, and God. We learn in the Tanya, in chapter 2, that the husband supplies the whiteness of the eyes, the bones, the teeth, the strength. The woman supplies the blood, the flesh, and God supplies the soul. And that, by the way, is why the Jewishness of the child depends on the mother, because she supplies the blood, and the nefesh, which is the soul, is in the blood. Ki adam hu nefesh, because the blood is the soul of the life of the person. If you lose too much blood, you can lose your teeth, you don't die. You can break a bone, you can lose an arm or a leg, you don't die. But if you lose blood, you die, because the blood is the life. And that's why we don't eat blood as well. If you want to have meat, you have to take the blood out of the meat first by soaking it and salting it. because the blood is the life of the animal. We don't want the life of the animal in us. We just want the energy from the meat. Because that we can elevate the energy that's in the meat. We can't elevate the life that's in the blood. Okay, so we're up to this point now in the bottom of page 182, 183, that just like light has a superiority over darkness, that little light pushes away the darkness, so wisdom will push away stupidity and foolishness, because it's only stupidity and foolishness that convinces us that our strong urges and desires are more important than divine precepts, which are given to us for the benefit of the whole world, of mankind. And that's why societies that are founded upon the idea that intellect is the most important thing usually end up to be very cruel. Anybody not like them has to be eliminated. Here, the Alter Rebbe is saying that wisdom, which is the highest level of the intellect, can control any desires that go against the will of God. And a person doesn't have to be ruled by his heart. Okay, now I'm on page 184. So if a person gets to this stage, that indeed he does rule over his heart, like we said at the times of prayer, when the Yetzer Hara is banished from his heart, nonetheless, he's not considered a tzaddik. Bottom of page 184. Aval Pikein, Ein Nikra Tzaddik Klal, he's not called a tzaddik, because this advantage of the godly soul over the darkness and of the desires of the animal soul, which comes from Klippa, is not an essential advantage. What do we mean by essential? We mean that the essence of the animal soul is not conquered. In the Beinoni, the essence of the animal soul is not conquered. In a tzaddik, the essence of the animal soul is transformed and made into a godly soul. It's on the team now. It's together with the godly soul on the same team. They're working together. In the Beinoni, there's always a conflict. Like Yaakov and Esau, they're always in conflict. So there are times when Yaakov has the advantage, but then he loses the advantage. So then how is it that the godly soul does seem to be in control during these times of prayer? It says that's because, now listen carefully, because there's the essence of the soul, and then there's the garments of the soul. These are key terms we have to bear in mind. We have the essence of the soul, and we have the garments of the soul. The godly soul, now the essence of the soul, you have the animal soul, and we have the godly soul. The godly soul in the Beinoni cannot overcome the essence of the animal soul. But in the Beinoni, it can control the garments of the soul, which are action, speech, and thought. So in the Beinoni, the godly soul can control the garments of the soul. So a person will never do anything that's against He'll never do anything bad. He'll never do a transgression. He'll never say something that he shouldn't say. Never. The Beinoni will not say a word of lashon hara. He will not say a word against Torah or a teacher. He will not curse. He will not make fun of holy things. And what about thought? Oh, thought, this is the real arena. Thought is much harder to control because thoughts rise up like uncontrolled from the heart. So this is the real area of conflict where the animal soul can have an influence. So as soon as a thought rises up from the animal soul, what happens? The Beinoni pushes it away, doesn't allow it in. Doesn't allow it in. That's the key. That as soon as a Beinoni, which is the average person, a person could be a Beinoni, as soon as the Beinoni senses that he's having an undesirable thought, he doesn't allow it in. Pushes it away. The Alter Rebbe says even with two hands, he pushes it away. He doesn't willingly entertain a thought. What does it mean, willingly entertain a thought? Well, we're over time. So I'll just give very quickly, summarize. Let's say something passes in front of your eyes that you didn't want to, you realize that this is not proper for you to look at. Let's say you open a magazine and there's an indecent picture. Maybe bordering on pornography, okay? This male, female pornography. And you see something, you know, this is not proper. So you close the magazine. You didn't choose to look at it. It just popped in front of your eyes. A bus goes by, it has a picture on the side of the bus that's improper. What do? It's not your fault. Let's say you're sitting working at your computer and an image pops up, and it's something it's not worth, not something to see. Do you take a second look? If you're curious and you want to take a second look, oh, now this is something that you did. Okay, the Beinoni doesn't take a second look. The second look. That's already a transgression. Okay, let me just take attendance. Rachel, always here. Rachel, you haven't missed a day. Michal, Danny, and Nicole. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Where are you going for Shabbos? What? Buffalo? Yeah.